Wonderful day, wonderful day, wonderful day. This is your neighborhood sensei Fouché telling all y'all stay woke. Relax, relax, take notes. So, I want to begin by shouting out my man Leaf. Leaf is someone that um, goes through the encounter and daily interaction of business the same as I during a different preferable time slot, but um, he's someone that has certain aspirations from a creative structure, and I kind of gave him specific insight and suggestions into getting into this development of creating creative poetry over music. And as a master student, I'm always going to share to the younger generation and help evolve them into their highest desire for self in a constructive direction. You know what I'm saying? So we had a really, really tight conversation. The ironic part is that all morning I was pretty much hoping to run into this to Leaf, so that way I was able to personally tell him what I was gonna try to um, condense in text. And I was probably 2/3 of the way through creating the text, and I went to a specific pickup spot, and boom, he was pulling in, and I was like, yo, that's timing right there. I could make a moment and um really go into more detail into what I had to tell him instead of just type it, knowing that if I called him, I wouldn't be able to directly get in contact with him and more probability. But the thing is, I thought that moment into existence. I know it, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't really over process it or try to over stress it. But point in being is that it was something that I knew was detailed and important as far as how I wanted to specifically message it and direct, intricate direct relation. And it would have been a whole lot more difficult to shoot that within a compressed text. So to see him directly and be able to throw that at him in his full receptiveness of being, I appreciate you, and I want it to work for you, and I know it will. Just take the baby steps that I was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the movie What About Bob? You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all probably don't even know about that as far as younger generation and older generation. They done forgot about it. But anyway, the thing that I wanted to focus on right now, and I thought about this maybe about 4 or 5 days ago. There was a video feed through a Facebook friend, or I want to say someone that I grew up with, and yeah, we're agreed as indirect friends. And they were tagged by someone, I guess, that they know that is extreme in their Christianity, and I guess used to be a knucklehead, turned righteous. I mean, no different than myself, because I was a knucklehead, and I have a whole different direction of thought. you know, for myself, I just go through observations. You know what I'm saying? It's less about judgment and more about what is and what always was and what always will be. But in the now, this is what's going on now, and it's no different than before and what will be. But as far as what are we going to do about it now, that's the conversations that we've been inspired to entertain in our questioning. So when I'm listening to this individual in his beginning monologue, he's blaming the children for being children. The kids today, they're so much worse than we were. And I mean, look, I heard this when I was that age with the adults before us. Like, we were terrible and we didn't know any better. And then I know that our parents and the adults before them said the same thing, so on and so forth. And if you go and backtrack enough history into the loose references in these in this Hollywood, and making these movies that are supposed to be loosely based on history, like always what was is what's going on now, except for a little bit of a adaptation in history and a whole lot more technology. But the children are children because they're children. You know what I'm saying? They are immature because that is the cycle towards their development, of which you hope is maturity. So the reason why these children are at a high level of immaturity and have always been throughout time, no different 30, 50, 100 years ago than today, is that there's more wrong with the adults than the children. Why there is more wrong with the adults than the children? That's the topic. There's more wrong with these adults because these adults used to be children that never really matured. They never matured. They're still immature in an adult physical form, but psychologically and mentally and emotionally, they are immature. And because of their immaturity, you got the blind leading the blind. Because when the adults are all messed up, and then the children either see or they're related in not only conversation, but indirect relation on how the adult lives instead of being, then the children just follow lead, which goes into the blind leading the blind. You know what I'm saying? So then when they wind up reaching a physical level of maturity, they're going to be no immature at that same stage or age that you are or was at that point. That's what they're going to be. That's what they are, and that's what they're going to be in your current being right now, or living, I should say, because you're really not being, you're living. But point is that these children are guided by immature adults. I mean, think about it. You know what I'm saying? These adults, the kid, he never wants to do anything. He has no motivation. Or, what are you doing? Other than, being on your phone looking for, some, you're on some dating site or whatever. I mean, I don't know anyone out there in direction. Only you know what you do. But, there's a lot of folks I know where, they can't pay their bills. They always borrow money. They're constantly in debt. They're always depressed. They always live their life for the party. Always got to go to the bar. Yeah, I had a tough day, I gotta go have some fun, you know what I'm saying? So they go out there, spend their money, blow it up, you know what I'm saying? Next day they're talking about, yeah, man, I'm hungover. So physically you ain't feeling well. Oh yeah, I'm hungover, man. I ain't ready for the day. And yeah, man, yeah, man, I'm still, man, I'm not really in a good mood, man. So now they're depressed. Oh man, damn, man. Then I got, rent at the end of the week, man, and man, I'm not sure if I gotta figure out how to, come up with some money. Maybe I could borrow some money, and then I'll pay them back on the next check. You know what I'm saying? And that's how they live their revolving, spinning hamster wheel. Is just excuses, excuses, excuses. You know what I'm saying? And then when this is, enabled or lived to be understood as common expression or comfortable way of being or comfortable way of living, then what else are these kids gonna understand? Then you got, the extremely angry, the bullies. Either they were bullied real young or they have some big sense of insecurity about themselves that they became so angry about being picked on that they decided to be the bully. You know what I'm saying? And that's anger from trauma, And you have those kind of folks where they always want to teach their kids, how to be aggressive in facing challenges or, dealing with society as opposed to being more educational in the psychological immaturity level of their own peers in the development process. So don't, educate the kids into the reason of why their peers are in more of a undeveloped stage. It's almost like, think of it like this. One kid, he is taught numbers and letters from the age of 2. Another kid, he's not really taught in consistency numbers and letters until he's about 4 years old. So by the time the 2-year-old is his age, he's basically able to spell words and do simple problems with addition and subtraction, more than likely, and maybe even have some understanding of multiplication, depending on how consistent and informative in their practice and consistent practice. The kid is going to probably be more advanced. So it's the same thing, in the other relation when it comes to these these bullies or these very traumatic parents, because if you are teaching your kid the practices of how you dealt with insecurity in that unhealthy relation, then they never really feel true value about themselves. They're just angry about their level of devaluation or lack of value because of how you validated the public perception in your conversation and dealing with it. So then they behind as well, and they never really fully developed into more of, and that's how you want to get in these darn serial killers or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's the blind leading the blind. You have more wrong with the adults than the children, and that's the problem. What's wrong with today's kids? They work. Nah, it's really these darn adults are the same as the adults that have always been before and before that and before that and before that. And that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So then, because, you know, you have these ways of dealing with your insecurities, which are, you know, in a form of mockery or devaluing someone else because of your lack of value, you know, emotionally unstable, you know, never motivated, you know what I'm saying, always angry, you know, you make fun of others, or, you know, look at her, she's fat, you know what I'm saying, using these labels of demonation to to devalue someone else, to make yourself or put yourself on a pedestal, and then teach the others behind us that you complain about through your actions of how society is supposed to be. I mean, society is. That isn't what they're supposed to be. We're supposed to be beings of happiness, of joy, of enjoyment. But we practice, preach, and praise misery. You know what I'm saying? Then you got these trolls. You got people that really watch what other people do because they are cowards in moving forward in their creativity. So then, you know, they want to kind of mimic or mock in mimicking your creativity. You know what I'm saying? In the form of devaluing you, or hoping to, because then, you know what I'm saying, misery loves company. You know what I'm saying? They never have anything to do but just, you know, watch other people or spy on them. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's almost like them folks that, want to create gossip, so they're spies. Whisper behind people's backs, you know, cowards when it comes to confrontation. They'll say something and talk behind people's back and talk about people, you know what I'm saying, in their face. They'll smile at them and try to tell them, you know, Jesus will take care of you and make you, and give them some sense of, you know, they need outside validation, and then Jesus is going to provide that, so they'll be able to, whatever insecurity they have, Jesus will take care of that, so that way they'll have the outside validation, because, you know, Christ is all about, you know, what's going on outside and how people perceive you, as opposed to you understanding the truth and value within yourself, right? Did I talk too fast? Did I speak too fast? Did I go into my whole, you know, New York busy traffic thing and went into this whole speed talking thing? My apologies. I didn't mean to do that. I get really, really into, you know, detailing my words and really flowing and ad-libbing into the whole content of explaining these immature adults that are guiding these beings, or in these beings in their current development of living. They are, you know, expected to be in a level of an immature state, to be guided by guardians of grown or growth, to instill very constructive and healthy psychological instillments of moral being, to be able to have a fulfilled, happy world. I mean, that's the objective of what we say we want, but then what we do as a whole is, in our individuality, is practice high levels of insecurity that is not only shown but also seems to be accepted as well as personally practiced by you in showing what society as a whole and how it operates, and hypocritical to what it says we should be. So when you out there talking about what's wrong with the kids, the kids of today, they're so bad, they're so worse, and nowadays, we weren't this bad, man. Look, stop throwing the baloney. You know what I'm saying? Put it in between bread and cheese and hand it to, someone desperate. You know what I'm saying? Because that's homeless food. You know what I'm saying? That's low level eating. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't trying to be fed, low level. So if you're interested in that low level, then, swallow that up and digest that and see how your physical reacts to that digestion. You know what I'm saying? But when it really all comes down to it, it's not what's wrong with the kids, because the kids are the kids because the kids. The thing is, what's wrong with you? And what's wrong with the rest of these adults? What's wrong with your family members? What's wrong with your friends? What's wrong with your superiors? What's wrong with your government? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's wrong with these adults? Forget about what's wrong with these kids. What's wrong with you, and how are you going to fix you in order to make your mark on not being hypocritical into saying that these kids need more? What are you going to give, and what are you going to tell and challenge the next person to give what they are not giving, as far as devaluing in their teaching methods and what they show and what they do by what they say and how they live instead of be. This is your neighborhood sensei Fouché, telling all y'all stay woke, relax, and take notes, and make sure that you be smooth. And in being smooth, that's how you wind up being incomplete. One.